self-driving cars, AI robots writing novels. Even Elon Musk is saying we're on the verge of some AI utopia.
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff, but are we getting a little ahead of ourselves?
Might be, yeah.
Today, we're going deep on whether this AI explosion is actually sustainable or if we're headed for a reality check.
That's a good question. I think it's really timely, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the hype around AI is just reaching a fever pitch, but there are some fundamental challenges I think we need to address if we want to see this technology reach its full potential.
Absolutely. And these challenges, they have real implications for all of us, right?
Right.
Whether we're like techies or just people living in a world that seems to be changing at warp speed.
Yeah.
But before we get into all the roadblocks,
Yeah.
can we get a quick refresher on how AI actually works?
Sure.
For those of us who haven't quite grasped the whole neural network thing.
Yeah, think of a neural network like a vast interconnected web of points mimicking the structure of a brain. And we train these networks by feeding them enormous amounts of data, text, images, code, whatever we want them to learn from.
Right.
As the network processes this data, it starts to identify patterns, make connections. And eventually, it can perform tasks like recognizing faces, translating languages, or even writing text that sounds, convincingly human.
So it's all about finding patterns, like how we learn from experience.
Exactly. And the more data we feed these AI systems, the more patterns they can identify.
Right.
And theoretically, the better they become at performing specific tasks. That's the basic principle behind deep learning, which is, the dominant approach to AI development today.
Gotcha. So that makes sense. But here's where things get interesting and maybe a little unsettling.
Okay.
We've seen some incredible advancements with AI recently, right?
Yeah.
Like ChatGPT,
Right.
self-driving cars. But are we starting to see a limit on how much better these systems can actually get?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
While larger data sets generally lead to better performance initially, we are encountering a phenomenon called diminishing returns.
Okay.
So imagine you're teaching a dog to fetch.
Okay.
The first few times you throw the ball and reward them for bringing it back, they learn quickly.
Right.
But at some point, adding more repetitions doesn't make them, a significantly better fetcher. They've grasped the concept.
So it's like they've hit a learning plateau.
Exactly.
They've extracted the key patterns from the data, in this case, your repeated throws, and more of the same doesn't necessarily lead to substantial improvement.
Exactly. And the same principle applies to AI.
Okay.
As we feed these systems ever larger data sets, it becomes increasingly difficult to find novel patterns that significantly improve their performance.
They've already picked all the low-hanging fruit, so to speak.
Right.
Which brings us to ChatGPT-4, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be this revolutionary leap forward, but it still has limitations despite being trained on an absolutely massive data set.
Exactly. The data set used to train ChatGPT-4 was 571 times larger than the one used for its predecessor, ChatGPT-3.
Wow.
That's a staggering amount of data.
Yeah.
But despite this exponential increase, ChatGPT-4 still exhibits some of the same flaws as its predecessors. It can still, hallucinate facts,
Right.
meaning it generates information that isn't grounded in reality, and it still struggles with complex reasoning and logical tasks.
So even with all that data, it's not perfect. And this hallucination thing,
Yeah.
can you explain that a bit more? Why does that happen?
Well, essentially, these large language models are incredibly good at mimicking patterns in human language.
Right.
But they don't truly, understand the information they're processing. So
Oh,
they can generate, grammatically correct and seemingly plausible text.
Right.
That is factually incorrect or logically flawed.
It's like a student who's memorized a textbook without actually comprehending the material.
Exactly, yeah.
They can spit back facts and figures, but struggle to actually apply that knowledge in a meaningful way.
Right.
So I'm starting to see the problem here.
Yeah.
So even if we could keep gathering exponentially more data, which seems like a logistical nightmare in itself, there's a limit to how much it can actually improve these systems.
Exactly. And on top of that, there's the issue of computational resources.
Right.
Remember those vast neural networks we talked about?
Yes.
Processing and analyzing ever larger data sets requires exponentially more computing power.
Okay.
And that translates into astronomical energy demands.
Yeah. I can only imagine the electricity bill for something like ChatGPT. It must be
Oh, it's
Mind-boggling.
Yeah, you're not wrong. In fact, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has stated that we need a major breakthrough in energy production, something on the scale of nuclear fusion,
Wow.
to make truly advanced AI sustainable in the long run. That's how energy intensive these systems are.
Nuclear fusion. Wow.
Yeah.
That really highlights just how unsustainable our current approach is. It's not just about the money.
Right.
It's the environmental impact, too.
Absolutely. There's a study from the University of Massachusetts Amherst that really drives this point home.
Okay.
They looked at the cost and carbon footprint of training an image recognition AI to achieve over 95% accuracy.
Okay. And what did they find?
Well, the numbers are pretty stark. To reach that level of accuracy, it would cost an estimated $100 billion
Wow.
and produce as much carbon emissions as New York City generates in an entire month.
Gosh.
And keep in mind, that's for 95% accuracy, not even perfect performance.
That's a massive environmental cost for a system that's still fallible. This has real implications for all sorts of AI applications, right?
It does. Take self-driving cars, for example.
Okay.
To be truly safe and reliable, those systems need near-perfect image recognition capabilities. But if achieving that level of accuracy requires such an exorbitant cost and environmental footprint, it raises serious questions about the viability of this technology.
So it's not just a theoretical concern.
No.
These limitations have real-world consequences. And it's not just self-driving cars.
Right.
There are broader economic implications, too.
Exactly. Big tech companies are pouring billions into AI research and development, betting on the idea of, exponential growth and future profits.
Right.
But what if that growth hits a wall?
Yeah.
What happens to those investments, and what are the ripple effects across the economy?
That's pretty sobering thought. So are we saying that AI is doomed? Is this like the end of the road?
Not necessarily. There are some potential solutions on the horizon,
Good.
like more efficient hardware and new AI architectures that require less data.
Okay.
But these are still in their early stages, and it's unclear if they can fully address the fundamental challenges we've discussed.
So there's hope. But it's not a guaranteed fix. And it sounds like this plateau, this slowing down of progress, might already be happening.
Uh-huh.
I remember reading some recent reports that seem to confirm this trend.
You're right. There's been some interesting news lately. The Information published a piece about OpenAI's upcoming text AI, codenamed Orion.
Okay.
It's supposedly trained on an even larger data set than ChatGPT-4, but the reported improvements in performance are, marginal.
So even OpenAI, the company that's been leading the charge in this field, is struggling to push past these limitations.
It seems so.
Oh, yeah.
And to make things even more interesting, Ilya Sutskever, one of OpenAI's co-founders, admitted in an interview with Reuters that their efforts to scale up AI models have hit a plateau.
Oh, wow.
He acknowledged that simply feeding these systems more data isn't a sustainable solution.
That's a pretty significant statement coming from someone like him.
Right.
It seems like we're reaching a real turning point in AI development.
Right.
And there was that study about AI specialization.
Right.
That also seems relevant here.
Yes, that study found that as AI models get larger, they don't necessarily improve across the board.
Oh.
Instead, they become highly specialized in certain tasks, often at the expense of their overall capabilities.
Okay, so help me understand this. Are you saying they become like, super experts in one area but lose their ability to handle other tasks?
Yeah.
Like, they might become amazing chess players but forget how to write a simple email.
That's a good analogy.
Right.
We see this happening in the real world. OpenAI has a model called GPT-4o that excels at solving complex math problems, but it struggles with basic writing tasks.
Oh, wow.
And there are reports suggesting that as Tesla's full self-driving system improved its ability to handle complex traffic scenarios, it started making more basic driving errors.
So it's like they're overfitting to specific tasks, losing sight of the bigger picture.
Right.
And this specialization trend seems to be at odds with the idea of creating these, incredibly versatile general-purpose AI systems that can do it all.
Exactly.
Right.
And to add another layer of complexity.
Yeah. A separate study predicted that at the current rate of data consumption, generative AI companies will run out of high-quality data by 2026.
Wow. Okay, so even if they wanted to keep making these models bigger,
Right.
they just might run out of fuel.
They might simply run out of fuel, yeah.
Okay, so we've got diminishing returns, sky-high energy demands, the potential for data shortages, and this trend towards specialization rather than generalization.
Right.
It's not exactly a rosy picture for the future of AI, is it?
It's certainly a challenging landscape, but it's important to remember that this doesn't mean AI is doomed.
Okay.
It just means we need to rethink our approach, find more sustainable and efficient ways to develop these systems.
All right. I'm definitely starting to see why this deep dive is so important. We've covered a lot of ground already,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing there's more to unpack, right?
Yeah.
What happens next in this AI story?
Oh, you bet. We've explored the technical challenges.
Right.
But next we need to consider the economic and societal implications of this potential AI plateau. Roll up. It's going to be an interesting ride. So we've talked about some of the technical limitations facing AI.
Right.
Now let's maybe shift gears a little bit and think about the economic ramifications of this potential plateau.
Okay.
We've seen a tidal wave of investment in AI with promises of, revolutionizing entire industries.
Right.
What happens if those promises fall short?
That's a crucial question. I mean, we've all seen the headlines. Billions of dollars pouring into AI startups,
Yeah.
tech giants restructuring to focus on AI initiatives,
Right.
even governments investing heavily in AI research and development.
Yeah.
What if this slowdown we're talking about throws a wrench in those plans?
The potential fallout is, it's really significant.
Yeah.
We might see a correction in the market as investors kind of realize that the projected growth and profits just might not materialize as quickly as they'd anticipated.
Right.
And let's not forget about the potential for job displacement.
If AI can't live up to its height in terms of automating tasks,
Yeah.
the economic benefits that many have touted might be much less pronounced.
Yeah. It's almost like we've entered this AI bubble.
Right.
Fueled by hype and speculative investment.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the dot-com bubble
Yeah.
back in the late 90s.
Mm.
Back then, there was this widespread belief that the internet would just change everything. And
Right.
investors rushed to pour money into any company with a .com at the end of its name. But
Yeah.
many of those companies they lacked solid business models.
Right.
And when the bubble burst, the consequences were,
Yeah.
pretty widespread.
That's it. I think that's a very apt comparison. And there are definitely parallels to the current AI landscape. We're
Right.
seeing huge valuations for AI companies, some of which have yet to demonstrate clear paths to profitability.
Right.
So if this trend continues,
Yeah.
we could be setting ourselves up for a similar reckoning.
Okay, so we have this potential, economic bubble fueled by AI hype.
Right.
But it's not just about investors losing money.
Right.
There are broader social and economic implications if this technology doesn't deliver on its promises.
Absolutely. Think about the impact on employment.
Right.
Many have argued that AI will lead to widespread job displacement as machines take over tasks previously performed by humans.
Yeah.
While there will undoubtedly be job losses in certain sectors, if AI development stagnates, the rate and extent of this displacement,
Yeah.
might be far less dramatic than some predict.
So the narrative of robots taking over all our jobs is maybe a bit exaggerated.
It's certainly a narrative that I think it needs to be examined critically. And it's not just about the number of jobs lost, but also the types of jobs that are affected. If AI primarily automates, routine, repetitive tasks, it could free up human workers to focus on, more creative, complex, and interpersonal roles.
So there's potential for both positive and negative impacts on the workforce.
Exactly.
It's not a simple equation.
No, it's not. And it underscores the importance of, thoughtful policy and regulation to manage the transition to an AI-driven economy. We need to invest in retraining programs to equip workers with the skills they need to thrive in this evolving landscape.
So it sounds like this potential plateau, this slowdown in AI progress, could actually be a good thing in some ways. It gives us a chance to just pause, take a deep breath, and really consider the potential consequences, both positive and negative, before we rush headlong into this AI-powered future.
That's an insightful perspective.
Yeah.
This isn't about, fear-mongering or
Right.
trying to stifle innovation.
Yeah.
It's about having a realistic understanding of the challenges and opportunities presented by AI and ensuring that its development and deployment are, aligned with human values and societal goals.
So what does this all mean for companies that have bet big on AI?
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about OpenAI and its financial challenges.
Right.
Are they a canary in the coal mine so to speak?
Well, I mean, OpenAI's situation is certainly noteworthy.
Okay.
Despite receiving billions in funding, they are reportedly burning through cash at an alarming rate,
Really?
potentially losing hundreds of millions of dollars per month.
Wow.
This raises questions about the long-term sustainability of their business model, which, relies heavily on developing increasingly larger and more complex AI models.
Right.
If those models hit a performance ceiling, as some evidence suggests,
Yeah.
OpenAI's financial prospects could be precarious.
And if OpenAI, a company with cutting-edge technology and, massive financial backing,
Right.
is struggling, what does that mean for the countless other AI startups and companies operating on a much smaller scale?
Right.
Are we headed for a wave of consolidation
Yeah.
or even failures in the AI sector?
It's a distinct possibility.
Okay.
We might see a shakeout in the industry as companies that have, overextended themselves financially
Right.
or failed to develop truly innovative and valuable AI products struggle to compete.
Okay.
This could lead to, acquisitions, mergers,
Yeah.
or even bankruptcies.
So it's not just about the technology itself. It's
Yeah.
also about the business models, the market dynamics,
Uh-huh.
and the broader economic forces at play.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that the AI landscape
Right.
is still evolving rapidly.
Yeah.
What seems like a sure bet today might be a risky proposition tomorrow.
It's a fascinating but complex landscape.
Yeah.
So as we kind of continue to navigate this uncharted territory, what are some of the key takeaways for our listeners? What should we all be paying attention to as this AI story unfolds?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's a reminder that technological progress is not always
Right.
linear or predictable. There are often, unexpected twists and turns, and the hype surrounding a technology doesn't always match the reality.
So don't believe everything you read in the headlines.
Exactly. Second, I think it's crucial to approach AI with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Okay.
Ask critical questions about its capabilities,
Right?
its limitations, and its potential impact on society.
Yeah.
Don't blindly accept the promises being made by tech companies or
Yeah.
the utopian visions painted by some futurists.
It's about thinking critically
Yeah,
and avoiding getting swept up in the hype.
precisely. And third, I think this situation underscores the importance of responsible AI development.
Okay.
We need to consider the ethical implications, the potential biases,
Right.
and the societal consequences of this technology.
Yeah.
It's not just about building cool gadgets.
Right.
It's about shaping a future that benefits humanity as a whole.
That's a powerful point.
Yeah.
So we need to be mindful, skeptical, and responsible as we move forward with AI. Yeah. But it's not all doom and gloom, is it?
No.
There are still opportunities for innovation and progress,
Yeah,
even if the path might be a bit different than we initially expected.
absolutely. This potential plateau doesn't mean the end of AI.
Okay.
It might simply mark a shift in direction.
Right.
It could lead to a greater focus on developing more efficient, more sustainable, and, more human-centric AI systems.
Okay.
And it might even spark new breakthroughs that we haven't even imagined yet.
So it's a time of both challenges and opportunities.
Right.
And it's a conversation that we all need to be a part of.
Yeah.
But before we get into the specifics of those opportunities and, alternative paths,
Yeah.
let's take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment to explore the potential future of AI beyond the plateau. Okay, so we've talked about the technical hurdles, the potential economic fallout,
Right.
and the need for a more responsible approach to AI development.
Uh-huh.
But this whole conversation has really gotten me thinking. What does this potential plateau say about our relationship with technology as a whole?
Ooh, that's a profound question.
Right.
I think it challenges this deeply ingrained narrative of, technological inevitability.
Right.
The idea that progress is always linear, always upward.
Yeah.
We tend to assume that technology will just keep advancing exponentially, solving all our problems along the way.
Yeah.
But maybe, just maybe, it's time to question that assumption.
Right. We've been bombarded with these utopian visions of a future powered by AI where everything is faster, more efficient, more intelligent.
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype and forget that technology is ultimately a tool.
Yeah.
And like any tool, it has its limitations.
Exactly. And those limitations are often intertwined with human choices, values, and, societal structures.
Yeah.
Technology doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's shaped by the context in which it's created and deployed.
So instead of just assuming that AI will magically solve all of our problems,
Right.
maybe we need to step back and ask ourselves, what problems do we actually want AI to solve?
Yeah.
And are we willing to accept the potential trade-offs, the unintended consequences that might come along with those solutions?
Those are crucial questions.
Right.
And they highlight the need for, I think, a more nuanced and critical dialogue about the role of AI in our society. We need to move beyond, the simplistic narratives of either utopian optimism or dystopian fear-mongering.
Yeah.
And engage in a more thoughtful and balanced assessment of this technology's potential and its limitations.
Because if we just let, the tech companies just dictate the direction of AI development, driven primarily by profit motives, we might end up creating a future that doesn't actually serve the best interests of humanity.
Right.
This potential plateau, this slowdown in progress, might be an opportunity to reassert some control, to steer the development of AI in a more human-centric direction.
I completely agree. It's a chance to hit the pause button, reflect on our values and priorities, and ensure that AI, aligns with those values. It's an opportunity to shape a future where AI empowers individuals, strengthens communities, and promotes the well-being of all.
So, as we're wrapping up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to ponder?
Okay.
What's that thought-provoking nugget they can take away and really, chew on?
I think the most important message is this. The future of AI is not predetermined.
Okay.
It's not a technological inevitability hurtling toward us beyond our control. We have agency.
Yes.
We have a voice. And we have the power to shape this technology in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Yeah.
But it requires active engagement, critical thinking, and a willingness to challenge assumptions.
Yes.
We need to be the architects of our own AI-powered future, not just passive bystanders.
Beautifully put. And a powerful reminder that even in the face of technological challenges, we have the capacity to create a future that is both innovative and humane.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll be back soon with more explorations of the ideas shaping our world.